Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Blake.
And this is Prove It, where we talk about our experiences.
And the validity of those experiences will be tested.
Last time we were talking about tattoos and whatnot, but one of the things I left out is before I got my first tattoo with my buddy Ronnie down in the Florida Keys, I got nipple piercings.
You had your nipples pierced.
Yeah.
No.
So, well, I thought.
I mean, it's believable. So.
So I thought tattoos are permanent or whatever, but a piercing I can always take out. And I just wanted. I don't build a very big chest when I work out.
I do.
Like my back gets big or whatever. You know, everybody has their genetic predisposition, but my chest didn't get very big. So I thought if I ordained it a little bit, it'd make it look cooler. And, you know, it draws attention from the ladies.
Okay.
When we very first got back from Iraq in 2003, 2004, my buddy that owned a piercing studio, he did my nipples.
Is this the same one that had the tattoo studio?
Yeah.
Okay.
So before Oklahoma legalized tattoos, it was just a piercing studio.
Okay.
Which I've got some great stories about my buddy, the piercer. But got my nipples pierced, and that was before my other buddy and I went to the Florida Keys to see my friend Ronnie. And within like 2 or 3 days, I was at some party and I picked this girl up like by her waist, and she kind of flailed and she kicked one of my nipple piercings, and it tore it like an eighth of an inch or something.
Okay. Was it the ring nipple piercing or was it the bar?
It was the ring.
Oh, God.
Oh, man.
Ouch.
It hurt so bad. So, and then at the same time, I was still doing martial arts. I wasn't competing in karate or anything anymore, but I was at an MMA gym. Shout out to Conan's Kickboxing Academy. So that's when I started really getting into jiu-jitsu and kickboxing and MMA, because when I went to college, they didn't have Kyokushinkai karate anywhere in Norman, Oklahoma. So I started doing jiu-jitsu and kickboxing. So when you first get any piercing, you don't want to take it out because it'll close up.
Yeah.
So I was afraid of them closing up. So I used to put duct tape on my nipples.
Duct tape, not masking tape or something?
No, I put duct tape on my nipples.
Idiot.
And I would grapple.
Idiot.
I was doing jiu-jitsu and kickboxing and MMA with duct tape nipple piercings. It was so funny because I'd be in the dressing room and other people would come in there like when I'm dressing down or dressing up, and they'd see me like pulling duct tape off of my nipples.
Well, like you didn't have like KT tape and stuff back then, but like there's the old sports tape that would have been the same.
Yeah, but you know, again, this was No, it was pre-Iraq, but you know, just being a Southern guy and you know,
younger also,
you can fix anything with duct tape and baling water.
Oh yeah, we Jimmy rig it.
Yeah, exactly. Southern ingenuity. So it was after that, probably maybe 2 or 3 weeks after that my buddy and I went down and saw Ronnie. So that kind of brings me to the podcast today. We're talking about successes and failures.
Okay.
So one of my successes and failures, it kind of ties in together. But the success side of it is kind of funny. After my first tour, before my second tour in Iraq, I graduated from OU with a health and exercise science degree, which there's a whole long story behind my college career because I was like Van Wilder.
Oh, God.
You know, I went to school for 10 years and I still didn't have a degree. But I finally graduated, and I was about to get married to my wife. So Ronnie is a former Marine, and he was a martial artist. And we used to spar and just kind of slap box and goof around a lot. But I was a better fighter than him. We're about the same size. He's maybe a little bigger than me. Definitely has a bigger nugget. This guy, I don't know how he walks around. He looks like a South Park character. But we would horseplay and fight around and stuff. And we had a rule like don't hit in the face and don't hit in the nuts.
Yeah.
But he would do this thing where he would give me shots and he would pretend to take shots himself, but he wasn't actually drinking. He was drinking water, or he'd throw it out or something. So he would get me drunk, and then he'd be like, hey, let's go in the front yard and mess around and let's go fight. So on my graduation, a few select friends that I have in my life and my mom came up and saw my graduation. And afterwards, my soon-to-be wife, ex-wife, and Ronnie and we went to the only strip club in Norman, Oklahoma. It's called Sugar's.
Oh, my God.
Now, this...
Family owned.
Oh man, yeah. So we used to say, like, Thursdays was C-section night. It was it was bad, bro. It was bad. No, it was okay.
That is funny, but so messed up at the same time.
And it's so true. That's a sad thing. Anybody who knows about this place is probably going to comment. Hopefully, please comment. Say, tell us your experience.
Prove it, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So the thing about this place is it's on Campus Corner in Normal, Oklahoma, where the University of Oklahoma is, and the entrance is literally in a dark alley. And it looks like one of those back doors from the kitchen of a restaurant where they go and dump the grease or take out the trash. It's just like a metal door that's flat with a handle and a deadbolt. That's the only entrance.
Oh, my.
It's seedy as hell. So Ronnie and I and Christy, we go in, and I'm tore up because he's been feeding me shots, right? It's my graduation, and it only took me 10 years to get a bachelor's degree. Now, granted, I had 194 credit hours with a bachelor's degree, so.
Nothing against you. Like, you're a full-time working professional and everything. There's people that do it all the time. 1 or 2 classes here, 1 or 2 classes there. Be enrolled for the year.
Oh, no, not then. Not then. I was just a college student.
Okay, that makes a difference.
Oh,
Jesus.
wait till we get to later in the podcast. So anyway, we go into this seedy strip club, and it's like a $10 cover or something. So I hand the door guy, like $30 for the 3 of us, and Christy like shoots in and checks it out, right? So I had just handed the guy the $30, and he had basically grabbed it and slid it over the counter. And Christy came back, and she was like, "No." She's like, "No, we're leaving." And when Christy and I were just friends, in the Army, we used to go to the strip club all the time. She loves music. She loves like rock and roll.
Yeah.
And she was always like, the strip club has the best sound systems and they play great music.
And women get a lot more attention than guys.
Yeah. And, of course, you always try to give the girl some money so she can go up to the floor. But anyway, she comes out and she's like, no. So I looked at the door guy and I was like, "Hey, man, we're not going to go ahead and go in. Just, give me my money back." And he's like some 6'5", 300-pound, like fat
I don't
asshole.
think so.
And he's like, "Nope." I was like, "Bro, I literally just handed you the money 10 seconds ago. We're not going in. I paid you to go in. We're now not going in, which means that I don't have to pay you." And he was like, "Nope." And me being me, I've already done a tour in Iraq. I've got whatever, and obviously I was a martial artist and whatnot. I was like, "Bro, I'm gonna hurt you if you don't give me my money." And he said no, and I tried to go across the counter to get him, and Ronnie, clearly sober because he'd been getting me trashed all night because he knew it was going to get to a point where he was going to get to kick the shit out of me. He grabs me and literally like throws me head first into that door that goes back into the alley. I went head first into the door, fell into the alley on my college graduation night, drunk as piss. He drives us back to my house, and we proceed to have a grand old time in the front yard, and he beat the dog mess out of me.
Oh, my Lord.
I went to work the next day with a big old busted lip and a black eye. Now, granted, I was a personal trainer, and everybody knew that I was a combat vet and I was a martial artist and whatever. But yeah, I showed up to work just beat to shit, and I was like, "Best graduation ever." But it was a big moment for me because, like I said, I had some ins and outs in college, and it took me a long time to finish. I changed majors. I ran out of money, which is why I joined the Army initially. It was, in the end, it was a great success story. And about 10 months after that, I deployed to Iraq again.
Oh my God.
But it was a great success story. It was fun. It's a memory I'll never forget. Ronnie was a great friend because he was looking out for me and everything, even though he did tune me up a little bit. But it was expected. It was commonplace back then what he would do.
Well, like you were talking about a graduation story and graduating from college and stuff like that. Like mine wasn't. I have a story kind of like that. I didn't get the shit kicked out of me or anything.
Lucky
like that.
you.
But mine was my high school graduation.
Mm-hmm.
Like you talk about growing up in Oklahoma and your time in Oklahoma a lot in these first couple podcasts that we've done, and people really don't know, but I'm not originally from Texas or Oklahoma. I'm originally from Ohio. So,
Dear God.
oh Lord, there's nothing out there. There's nothing to do but party in the cornfields, everything like that. I mean, my graduating class at the time was 54. It was the largest in school history.
I thought mine was small at like 264.
Yeah. We had to drive your tractor to school day.
Oh my God.
Yeah, for FFA week, we had drive your tractor to school day.
I always relate Ohio to like Cleveland and like remember the old school cops? It was always in Cleveland.
Yeah.
So I was related to like more of a city type state. I didn't realize it was so country.
Yes, you got your big cities. So you Cleveland up in the northwest, central. Everybody knows where Columbus is, and then down in your southeast, you got Cincinnati. So I grew up about an hour and a half, 2 hours north of Cincinnati. If you go straight up I-70.
Where is that in relation to Dayton? Because I did have a friend that went to school in Dayton, Ohio.
Oh, so Dayton, Wright Pat Air Force Base. I grew up maybe 30 minutes from there.
Yeah, and
Just
apparently it's like the beer capital of the world.
Oh, they drink. They drink in Dayton. It's
makes sense why my buddy went there.
I wouldn't say people would go there now because it's more of a dangerous area. It's like at one time it was listed on the top 20 most dangerous cities. At least a couple of the surrounding area, like neighborhoods, suburbs of it.
I hate that because he was always talking about it was all craft beer, and he went to school there, and he eventually became a special ed teacher. Shout out to Chewy.
Yeah, like it's not that bad anymore, but it at one point it did get that bad. Yeah. I mean, it really depends on where you're hanging out.
Well, I want to hear this high school graduation story.
But like I said, it was about 30, 40 minutes north of Dayton where I actually went to high school, and it was out in the sticks, man. It was out in the middle of nowhere.
Back roading,
100%.
bonfires.
100%. There was cornfields on 3 sides of our high school. Cornfields.
Did you ever get the Children of the Corn vibe?
I mean, you get lost out in the middle of a cornfield, maybe. Yeah,
it's scary. It sounds scary.
We used to play hide and seek in those damn things.
See, we just had pump jacks in Oklahoma from the oil field.
So, high school graduation comes around, people have their graduation parties, right? Like, I got along with everybody in high school, so there was I got in my conflicts. But one of the guys I went to high school with, he threw his graduation party the night before graduation. And I go there, he lived on a farm, had his own room that was out in the garage and stuff like that. But it was back when cornhole was just getting popular. So drinking, playing cornhole. This was 2006.
Okay.
So drinking, playing cornhole, freaking.
Making me feel old again.
Oh my God, be quiet. Just getting sloshed. This is one of the 2 times that I've ever blacked out in my life. I don't remember what I was drinking. I knew I was hammered. I was playing cornhole. I was sitting by the bonfire. I know I threw up at one point, but I knew that I went in his room and laid down in his bed and passed out. I don't remember anything else. I guess I called my mom at 3 in the morning, 3, 4 in the morning. I'm like, hey, come get me. I'm drunk. They come get me. I wake up in the morning. They're all laughing at me. My mom, my cousin, my aunt.
I know. I know exactly where you're going because this has happened to me.
My aunt. Mind you, this is the morning of my high school graduation. My graduation's at 1:00. I wake up in the morning.
This could be so bad if it's going where I think it is.
And they're all laughing at me. And they're like, you have a good time last night? I'm like, I'm fucking hungover. Like, you had a real good time, didn't you? I'm like, yeah, okay, go look in the mirror.
There's one of 2 things that could have happened at this point, and that's either you got a bald spot shaved in your head or you have Sharpie on your face.
I had Sharpie all over my face, all down my arms, all over my back, on my neck, like dicks everywhere, bro.
You
Everywhere.
look like a porcupine with dicks coming out instead of going in.
Oh my Jesus. So imagine me, I'm fair skinned already. I told you before, I got very sensitive skin. If I'm in the wrong temperature, like up in Colorado.
Could you not get it off?
Oh, no. I'm getting to that. So, like, if I'm in Colorado, it gets so dry up there that I will break out in a rash if I don't moisturize.
Because we're white and we get ashy.
So, I didn't know that at this point in my life because I was still young. I still had that youthful skin, you know. Imagine my mother, my cousin, my twin sister who graduated the year before me, all taking rubbing alcohol to get this Sharpie off of me, off of my face, and off of my neck. And I had acne.
You're like on fire.
It wasn't bad acne, but
Any sort of pore.
Oh my God. After about an hour and a half, they got all of it off of my neck and face.
But you were beat red.
Well, they were pressing hard, but they were getting it off. Yeah, like I took a shower, I put moisturizing cream on, but they got it all off for my graduation. So I guess we can count that as a win. But a lot of people don't know that unless they were at that party actively participating.
So do you know the people that did it?
Well, I know.
Did you find out who it was?
I know it was the guy that lived there. I have an idea about.
So was it friends or was it enemies?
Well, I think it's a mixture of both.
I
said, I got along with about everybody, so I'm just that guy, you know. Oh, look, he passed out. I'm a victim of my own.
I have so many passed out stories. I have pictures of us putting like dildos in people's mouths and stuff.
But I got a graduation photo somewhere with my mom, and you can see that there's nothing on my face or anything. But only people that were at that party and my family knows about that. And people would find it surprising. Like, who would do that the night before graduation?
Well, luckily you're a handsome guy. You said you had some acne. Dude, my acne was so bad on my senior pictures that they blurred it. To make, because you didn't have filters back then.
Yeah.
1997. So they blurred my picture. That's what was in the yearbook for my senior picture because I look like a fucking pizza.
So like I actually, we go out and take our own senior photos and everything. I actually have a really refined senior photo. So
I was too poor for that.
Well, I didn't go out and do a photo shoot somewhere. I was at a studio, but I wore a suit, snazzy suit, and just got the bus pick and had my messy hair, everything tied. I look good when I actually try.
Well, you're a handsome guy. Look at this head of hair on you, bro. But for me, pictures all through school. You get the proofs, and then you get to pick which one you want, and then order them. My mom just kept the proofs because we couldn't afford to order any of them.
Wait, it's crazy now because I do have a son, and they take school photos, and you have to order them beforehand. I'm like,
you don't even get to preview it?
Yeah, and they only take one photo.
That's what?
They only take one photo, bro.
That's janky. No, we got the proofs because they were free. That's what my mom kept because we couldn't afford the other.
So, you can buy the actual thing, the package, or you can buy, the digital proof for, $10-15.
Well, that would be the way to go. I mean, nowadays, nobody even has hard copy pictures. Actually,
grandparents, they still want to... I want to see my grandkid up here on the wall.
Well, I have 400 pictures from back in 03 and stuff that I need to digitize because I literally will sell everything that I own and just carry a hard drive, and that's why I keep my pictures and stuff.
Well, that's the dangerous part about it is just keeping pictures on a hard drive too, because one little mistake, like a rainstorm or a flash flood comes, and you lose all of that. So it's good to have the hard copies, but
yeah, and I'm trying to do a backup where I've got it on a computer, hard copy, the hard drive. So we titled this "Successes and Failures."
Oh yeah.
And
what you got my curiosity going on that because I get the successes of your college graduation, my high school graduation. I graduate high school these days, so I'm really intrigued where you're going with this failure part.
I want to put this out there very first. I think maybe 2 or 3 people in the world know about what I'm about to say. So I'm really going to put myself out there and be vulnerable. So I mentioned that I was on the 10-year college plan, right?
Yeah.
So I started at OU as a mechanical engineering major in 1997. I did 3 years. I had a couple of small scholarships and financial aid because I was a poor kid. But I found myself playing basketball all the time instead of going to class. And this is when I first got into lifting weights and fitness. Like I think I mentioned in a previous podcast that when I graduated high school, I was 6'2", 145 pounds. So my freshman year in college, I went to the library at OU and I got a book on weightlifting. I think it was from the 70s.
Dating yourself a little bit. Don't call me out.
Oh, geez. I'm from the 70s, so whatever. But anyway, I read this book and I started lifting weights and I was taking creatine and weight gainer, which, by the way, that gives you horrible gas. But so I put on 25 pounds in 3 months or whatever. But the problem was I was focused on working out and playing basketball. By the end of my freshman year, I went from not being able to touch the rim to dunking, so whatever. But so there's a success. But the failure is I wasn't going to class.
I got to go to class to pass, man.
Yeah. So my junior year as a mechanical engineering major, I ran out of money, basically. I was working part-time jobs and trying to supplement. But back in the 90s, when you first went to campus before school started, there were all these credit card people. And if you sign up for the credit card, you get a free t-shirt. I didn't know anything about finance. I'm a poor kid. I was never taught about finance or anything or credit cards. So I signed up for every credit card and I got them all.
Oh, wow.
And I got all the t-shirts too. But then I started, struggling and I started using the credit cards. And then I started being, ridiculous. Like most people who are in debt now, you buy things that you don't need with money that you don't have.
Max out a card and you get another card.
I buy like a stereo system or whatever for my dorm room. But I got into debt and I was struggling to pay for college. So this is what instigated me going into the military. I called all the different branches of the military and I said, who gives the most money for college? Or how much money do you get for college? And the National Guard was fantastic. They gave like a $8,000 signing bonus at the time, and I got the GI Bill and the GI Bill bonus, whatever. But I went to basic training and everything, National Guard, and then I came back. And before I left to go to basic training, I wrecked my car about a month before the semester was over. And I was pretty much failing all of my classes. And I just left school a month before the semester was even over.
Oh, man.
And I went back home. I had wrecked my car, so I didn't have a car. I didn't have anything. And I actually got kicked out of OU.
Oh, man.
Because my grades were so bad. So that's when I joined the Army. And when I came back from basic training in AIT, I went to Oklahoma City Community College, but it's a sister school of OU.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I can take some classes, get my GPA back up, and then go back to OU and get my degree. And the thing was, because I had gotten so interested in working out and stuff, I'd always been a sports guy, athlete, and martial arts. And then I started lifting weights, and I really just loved the health and fitness side of things. But at OU, the health and exercise science program is very unique. They only allow a certain number of people in. You have to have the grade point average. You have to have letters of recommendation. Like Wow. It's almost like a mini medical school.
Yeah.
And in hindsight, it's a bullshit degree, but whatever. But so I had to apply for this forgiveness program where basically I said, hey, I messed up. And they wiped 1 or 2 semesters of my grades like I'd never been there. So my GPA went from like trash to decent. And then I had come back from Iraq and I was a combat veteran and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I wrote about that and my struggles in life of being a poor kid and all truth, but it definitely helped me and I got accepted into the program. But that's something that it was because I'm a very proud person. I work hard. I busted my tail to be the person I am today, and not a lot of people like this is literally when my mom hears this, it'll be the first time she knows this.
Oh wow, that's
And
crazy,
that's part
man.
of the reason that when I said I graduated 194 credit hours, because I had 3 years of mechanical engineering, and then I went to community college and I got diversified studies associate degree.
Okay.
Which it transferred to you to help me with some of my gen eds. I took like a theater class and a sociology class and whatever, and it transferred over from Oklahoma City Community College, OCCC is what we call it, to OU. And then I got reaccepted back to OU when they basically wiped clean that semester or two. And I went on to finish my degree. But that was a huge failure for me.
But the way I look at it, like you see it as a failure also. I'm not going to invalidate that being a failure for you. There's a success side to you getting back into college and not giving up on college. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm glad it happened to you, but I'm glad because you got that military experience. And what people don't understand about people in the military that goes to college, they're usually once we get that discipline in those years in, like we gotta have that focus and that drive to actually just focused on nothing but college. And you came back, you never gave up, you still got your degree and everything like that. So I still call that a success. So a failure with a success, man.
I appreciate that. And you hear time and again people talk about it's not about your successes, it's about your failures and then what you do after it.
Yeah, your adaptability.
And I'm a firm believer in whatever blockade you have in your life, it's about what you decide to do after that. Do you just throw your cards in? Do you fold? Or do you pick yourself up and figure it out, find a solution, and then move forward? And yeah, I found myself in a very bad place. Like I said, I wrecked my car and I supported myself. I paid for college through the military and through scholarships and whatever. So I didn't have any sort of help. So I was flat on my face. I went home a month early before the semester was over because I was just like, this is pretty much pointless. And since I didn't have a car, I got a job and I used to run to work.
Oh, wow.
People would see me running and they would call me later and be like, were you running down 81 highway? And I'm like, yeah, I was going to work. But I figured it out. And it was a failure, but as you're saying, in itself, it was a success. I wouldn't change a single thing about my life because my failures are the reason for my successes.
And it made you who you are today, man.
Yeah. In fact, if you look right here, one of my tattoos, since we talk about tattoos, it says sacrifice.
Yeah.
And it's anagram. Upside down, it says success.
Okay.
And then on my side, it says relentless. Because even if you fail, even if you fall down or you get knocked down or you have speed bumps in the way, if you're relentless in your pursuit of whatever your dream is or whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, number one, you got to make sacrifices. You got to give up some time. You got to work hard. But if you do that and you're relentless in that pursuit, then you will be successful. And don't dwell on the failures. Look at those as learning experiences and adapt and overcome, as we say in the military.
Oh, yeah. I 100% understand what you're saying.
I'm sure you've got...
Oh.
We all, especially in the military, we have tons of stories of that.
You got to think, ever since I graduated high school, the military has been my life.
Yeah.
Active duty, 18 years. It's been everything to me.
Yeah.
And I have a failure story that a lot of people don't know about because I really didn't have a lot of people in my life. I have my friends group, but really they don't know the story behind
This
it.
is our safe space. Even though
Oh,
it's
I know,
going
I
out
know,
to the
I
entire
know.
public, it's our safe space. So fucking let's be vulnerable, bro.
But I think it was 2009. It's either 2009 or 2010. It's one of those 2 years. Like you said before, the more I think, the older I am. But I know it was either 9 or 10 because I remember what part of the hospital at Walter Reed in Washington, D.C. I was working at. But my leadership had seen potential in me. I had been in the military for 3, 4 years at this point, and they're like, "Okay,
Just enough to get yourself in trouble.
yeah." So I was getting in the best shape of my life and everything. Like, we're going to send you to Warrior Leadership Course, WLC, which I think when you were, and it was called PLDC,
Yeah.
Primary Leadership Development Course.
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
So they had just changed the name over right before.
Do you still get a ribbon for it?
Yeah.
WLC? Okay.
So any NCOS, non-commissioned officer, education system school you go to, you get a ribbon, and then you get the numerals for each one. So I'm at numeral 2, 3 right now because
I didn't go to the second school. I was the E6, but I didn't go to the second school because I got out.
yeah. So I got 3.
Show
No,
off.
2. My fault. I didn't do SLC, but what people don't know is like the successful leader that I've been and successfulness that I've had throughout my career. Back in 2009, 2010, WLC, when I went, I failed. And that was a big deal. Like, let me tell you how big of a deal this is. I went and I failed, and I didn't go again until 2013.
Yeah, because you're selected to go. It's not like
Yeah.
college where you just go enroll
Yeah.
and you
You-
pass the test to get in or whatever. You're selected because you're a leadership person.
By the unit that you're in. And it wasn't even, it was either 13 or 14 that I went back. It was 2014 because it was after I got married. And the crazy part about it was when I went, I was stationed in Washington, D.C., Walter Reed Army Medical Center. It was the biggest Army Medical Center that we had on stateside at the time. Doesn't exist anymore because they merged with Bethesda Naval and became Walter Reed National Military Medical Center. But I was stationed in D.C. They flew me out to Fort Knox for it, and like I said, I was in some of the best shape of my life. The day before the PT test, the night before the PT test, I was running 6180s, 6120s out on the track. Try to keep myself loose and everything. I don't know.
How old were you?
19, 20.
Oh, yeah. In my head, I was
No.
thinking.
No, I was 21, 22. 21,
But
22.
even still, that's only 3-4 years into your career.
Yeah, very young in my career.
Yeah.
So I was out there. So I passed BT test, passed height and weight, all that good stuff. So we start going in through the instruction portion. And this was the embarrassing part about it. I failed my best subject.
Anxiety, you just get.
No. We went out onto the land nav course, land navigation. At Fort Knox, it's bushes and everything. They showed us, and we did practice, and I was spot on and everything, mapping out and everything. I could not find 2 of my spots when it came to the practical.
To back you up, the land nav courses, like I was in, not Polk, but the other one in Louisiana, it's PLDC or WLC, which is Briars and shit. The land nav course, they basically just give you a piece of paper and it says a distance like 800 meters and a compass direction like 270 degrees, 800 meters. And you learn your steps and everything, and you've got to walk it off in that direction with a compass and get to the point. And sometimes it's at night. And then that point, there's multiple points all around that spot.
Yeah.
That you could screw up and go to the wrong one. And when you get to that point, it's like a braille thing. Is that what in Knox? They had like a braille that you stamped your card with?
They had the hole punchers that were different. One was a star.
Oh, well,
one
ours was
smiley.
on the tree, and it was a hole punch, but it was like braille. It was like a
Yeah.
QR code of braille, and you stamp your card so they could verify that you're at that point, and then it tells you at that point from here go 60 degrees, 300 meters, and you have to turn and you have to box step around like swampy areas and briars and crap. Land nav course is one of the hardest things and one of the main things that people fail.
So here's the thing. Mine's a lot different than yours because they just gave us a point. And we had to map it out. We had to decide what route we took on our own.
Sometimes you have to triangulate. Yeah. Like you get to a one and it gives you a grid coordinate and you have to triangulate it.
Yeah, so
or not a grid coordinate, but it gives you a triangulation.
They gave us 4 grid coordinates at the beginning. One was our starting point, so we knew where we were starting. And then we had to map out the other and decide what route we wanted to take.
That was different than mine.
So you can go any route you wanted to. When we were doing it together as a group, I was nailing it. I was finding stuff left and right, no problem.
You got overconfident, didn't you?
No, practical. I become a heat cat. I end up in the hospital.
Bro,
So-
I've had heat exhaustion.
And I tried to tough it through. So go back the next day for retest. I get 2 of the hardest points, and I can't find them because they're shaded by bushes and trees.
Yeah, no, it's
Like
not
you
easy.
think, I don't know if you've ever been up to Kentucky, but think thick in the middle of summer and spring. Thick Kentucky thicket, like you're wearing deep because there's so many ticks and everything.
Yeah, it
like,
sounds similar to Louisiana, but Louisiana was more. It was swampy and it was a lot of briars.
So like my instructor, he's like, "Man, what happened out there?" I'm like, "I couldn't find it." He's, "Let me see your points." And he's like, "I don't understand this. You were our best student. You were en route to be the honor grad." And then he's, "Oh, you had these points." I'm like, "Yeah, I couldn't find them at all." He's, "Remember, I showed you this one when we were all going together." I'm like, "Yeah, I couldn't find it. I was over there. I searched around that tree for about 15 minutes, and I could not find it anywhere. I even circled out more than the 25, 50, 100. I went 200 out, and I still couldn't find the freaking spot. It was that hidden." So I ended up failing and get sent back to my unit, and that stalled my career for 4 years.
But luckily, you were young because I got in the Army at 22, so I was 28 when 27 or 28 when I went to PLDC and got my sergeant stripes. You were much younger, so you had a little more time in your career. But the fact is, man, for anybody that's not military, that doesn't know about land nav, if you don't know anything about navigation in general, like there's grid north, there's magnetic north, and there's true north. When you're reading a map and you're watching your compass, there's so many different things that are going on. And whenever you're walking with your compass and you're doing your steps, you tend to go one direction or the other. So you have to change hands with your compass. There's so many different things.
Imagine my face. I get to Fort Carson, and they send me to WLC in the fall there, Warrior Leadership course, and pass the PT test. So I start doing practicals and exercise. I'm like, "Oh, we're going to land nav course." I'm like, "Fuck, here we go." I'm really good at land nav at this point. Like, I've studied it. I've given classes on land nav. I'm still giving classes on land nav to this day, and helping future soldiers and stuff like that. But imagine my face when I get out there thinking doom in my head already. It's like, I failed this fucking last time like 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
They drive us out on the bus and we get off the bus. I told you I was in Kentucky thicket where these
So it was just open?
where these signs were hidden and all over. Like they weren't.
Tell me it was open, you could see the signs.
Oh, no. So let me get there. So in Kentucky, these signs, there wasn't another sign within 200 meters of each other. I get out of the bus. I'm on top of this hill. And there's just hundreds of signs everywhere. And they all have the grid coordinate on them. So it's self-correcting also.
What?
I'm sitting there, and we're doing the practical, try it out and everything.
Was that the navigation course for the cooks or what?
No, Fort Carson, big infantry base.
Oh, you said Carson.
Yeah.
Wow.
4th Infantry Division.
I would have think it was like Relaxin' Jackson.
No. So imagine my face. So I do the practical. I'm like, okay, I still got it. I still got my land nav. There's a couple of guys in my platoon, and we're like, hey, let's try to be first. And it was like, how long do you think it's going to take you? I said, give me 15 minutes. When I told you, when I tell you, they said go and they gave me my coordinates, plot, I'm going here, and I made a perfect circle. I would get to my sign for the coordinates, match, write down the code because there's a code that they gave us.
Oh, you didn't have
It's
to
like
do that.
VACD.
Yeah.
And each sign had a different code. Wrote down my code, took out my compass, pointed, freaking where I needed to go, saw the sign, put my compass in my pocket, and I took off running. I finished in like in between 15, 20 minutes, and I was the second one done. Because we were racing.
So I had my PLDC land nav course, which was, like I said, down in Louisiana. It was very difficult. It was swampy and briars. You know, you come to an area because you're trying to walk straight and on your direction, and you come to something you just can't walk through. So you got to box step it out, which messes everything up.
Yeah, walk 5 this way, then count your 3.
Walk this way,
and then,
walk this way, walk
then
this
count,
way.
count your 5 back, and then it's only counting as 3.
But on my first deployment to Iraq in 2003, we went to Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And it's hilly, it's all mountains, but it's really open.
Yep.
And my buddy and I, we finished before everybody else. We got back to our gear and we passed out for like an hour and a half before the next person showed up. And I also took the correspondence course for land nav in the Army.
Yeah.
So I was a land nav guru, but what you're saying, like you're jogging, run through there.
There was no jogging. Like I had body armor and a freaking camelback on.
You had
like,
something to prove.
Oh yeah,
To yourself more than anything.
but like it still hurts me to this day because I did delay my career by 4 years, and who knows? But I think I have no regret about it because I learned from it. And if that wouldn't have happened, who knows where I would have went? I would have never met my ex-wife. I would have maybe gone somewhere else instead of Italy. Who knows what would have happened? I might not be sitting here today.
With that said, I think that the biggest competition and your biggest critic is if you truly want to succeed in life is yourself.
100%.
And now you can't be overly critical of yourself, but like when I failed in college and then I got back on the bus and I was like, no way this is happening again. When you failed at land nav, when you went back and did it again, you're like, not only am I going to accomplish this, I'm going to be the best. And I think going back to what I said earlier is it's not about what happens when you fail or you fall down or you get knocked down or you hit a speed bump. It's about what you do afterwards. And that's what defines you as a person.
Yeah. Adapt and overcome.
Yeah, adapt and overcome.
So, like, the thing is, when I did fail, I did let myself go. That's why it took 4 years.
Yeah.
Like, I left for Italy in 2011. I got flagged for height and weight. Because I didn't care. But, like, I ended up losing a lot of weight. Yeah. I ended up deploying, losing a lot more weight. Came back, got the
Luckily, you got that hair and those pretty eyes.
Came back, PCS had a permit change the station to Fort Carson, and improved myself there. When I got there, they sent me there. I got picked up in February of 2014 for a sergeant, and it's all been a story since then.
In the end, our failures are really what define us and lead to our successes, because if you fail and you get up and you attack whatever it is you're trying to do, that's when you succeed. If you fail and you get this victim complex, then you're just going to continue to fail. It's about what you do after you fail that really defines you as a person.
So I'm going to take this a little deeper. In my perspective, any good leader that you have, that I've had in my military career, at least I think I have had, I think that any good leader that I've had has failed at something. Because you do not know how to react to somebody else's failures unless you've had to overcome failure yourself. And that's what makes you that compassionate leader, to be able to be like, hey, this isn't in the world. I got you. We're going to get you through this. Leaders that don't have that are, those people that never failed at anything, that just think it's this way, by the book, or, oh, you failed, you're a piece of crap or something like that.
The reality is, if you haven't failed at anything, you haven't tried. You haven't put yourself on the line. You haven't tried to start a business. You haven't tried to go to the military. You haven't tried to go to college. You haven't tried to do anything with yourself. If you look at all the successful people in life, like Sylvester Stallone and like Joe Rogan, all these super successful people, they failed. Sly was
100%.
sleeping in his car, bro, and stealing food. And I think if you haven't failed, then you haven't reached your potential.
Yeah, because you haven't put yourself in a situation where you might fail.
Yeah.
That you're not confident that you're not going to succeed. You've only been put yourself in situations like, I know I'm going to succeed in this. If you don't put yourself in a situation where you think, okay, there's a 50-50 chance that I don't come out of this on the right side.
And you've got to go head first into it. And I'll say this is going to be my closing thing. You can add to it if you want to. But I've always told people that the best time to do something that you're uneasy about or scared of is when you're not ready. Because the fact of the matter is, you'll never be ready. You'll never feel confident and be ready to attack something that's bigger than you and that you have fear about. My best example is like skydiving. Whenever the door opens, I've done a few skydives, and when the door opens in the plane and your gut drops, they tell you, take a deep breath when the door opens. They're going to say, door opens, and you go, because you're scared shitless. But the time to jump out of that plane is when you're not ready. And if you have an idea or you have a dream or a goal in life, don't wait till you're ready, because you'll find yourself in a hole in the ground before you're ever ready. Jump. When you're not ready and your heart's beating out of your chest, you're going to feel the most alive. And whether you succeed or fail, you're going to be a better person for it, and you're going to learn from it, and you're going to move forward in your life. And even if you fail, it's about what happens after you fail. You got to get up and you got to find the next thing and attack it.
I'm going to lead off with something that we actually talked about off the air. A quote that we both enjoy using. It's about life. Are you living your life the way you should be living your life? Are you working to live or living to work, is what I believe the quote with that we used. But I think that we could use it in a situation like this too. It's like, are you afraid to live or afraid of living?
And most people are. And the other quote that I mentioned when we were talking earlier is, everybody dies, but not everybody truly lives.
Yes.
I think that's a great end. What do you
think? I just want to end with this. Don't be afraid to take a chance. Go out there and put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to fail. Yep. From the failure always comes success.
Like he said, do it.